Hello. So my focus question for this week was, what is the role of school in society? And my three sub questions to go along with that is, what would life be like without education? And then the second is, how does school affect us individually? And then my final question was, are there any examples in history or in the world currently where education is undervalued? So going back to the first question, what would life or what would life be like without education? There's a quote by Paulo Freire that I think answers or segues into the answer that I got for this question. And this is just a portion of the quote. It says, "We educate one another with the context of living in the excuse me, let me start that over again. We educate one another with the context of living within this world." So the way I interpreted that quote is that learning is a social activity that we learn and ultimately gain our education through learning from other people. And when school isn't in our lives, or if education isn't valued, we don't have that opportunity, or at least it's not easily accessible to learn from other people and to gain new worldviews and new opinions. I like to think of the Plato's allegory of the cave that we read about this last week, that the people who don't value education, or they don't have the or I guess I should say what life would be like without education. It would be like the people who were trapped in the cage and saw the shadows flickering on the cave walls, but they never truly understood what it was entirely. And also they were reluctant to go out into the real world and understand how things actually were and what things looked like in the light. That's what life would be like without an education. We would only have portions of the truth, but we wouldn't know completely for ourselves, or at least be given that chance to know completely for ourselves. The second question is, how does school affect us individually? So there are three parts that I had come up with for the answer to this question. The first is, school affects us academically, socially, and it affects our view on humanity. So or school affects us individually academically through obvious reasons. It's where we learn basic day-to-day life skills, and it's also where we get a beginning of an understanding of what we want our career path to be, and what subjects we do well in and what subjects we need to improve on. The second, it affects us socially. For many of us, school is our foundation for a social life. It's where we learn social skills and how we make friends and learn to interact with others. And then finally, it affects our humanity. So this is where we also learn, it may not be the only place, school, where we learn about humanity, but it is a major place where we can learn about empathy and feeling sympathy towards other people, and also where we learn problem-solving skills. And then the final question, are there any examples in history or in the world currently where education is undervalued? There was a great article called "Redefining Education in the Developing World," and it talked about some of the issues that the developing world and a lot of third world countries are facing right now. There are programs who try to provide free education in developing countries, but there are complications that they face. Even though it is free, money is still an issue. So there are still costs for things such as lunch, and for school uniforms, for school supplies, and exam fees. And unfortunately, that gets in the way of those people from getting the education that they want. And in these cases, it's a education versus basic necessities battle, and unfortunately, education often loses in that battle. So yeah, those were the response to my questions. Thank you so much.